done that today. World, we're watching that, and that move has been made. So we'll watch the reaction to that globally today. Should be interesting. Also today, we had a lot going on actually in the world, even locally today. There was the talk of there's a lot in the sports world too. Let's start there actually. The Celtics extended now to a game 5. They could not close things out and sweep the Sixers last night. So tomorrow night, back here in Boston, the 76ers and the Celtics, as the Celtics look to wrap things up with Philly. So that will be fun at the Garden. Hopefully the Celtics can finish that thing off, get some rest, and then it is LeBron James waiting for the Celtics. So LeBron's already resting. Hopefully the Celtics can get a win, get a few days to rest, and that will be that. Also, the Boston Bruins with just a tough kind of end to their season. A lot of injuries there at the end, and a lot of calls not going their way, but nevertheless, you don't like to blame the officiating, but the Boston Bruins got eliminated over the weekend on Sunday, losing to Tampa Bay. So a little bit of a disappointing end to the Boston Bruins season. Big hockey community here, I know that, so it's a tough way to end the season for the Bruins, but we'll go get them next year, I guess. How about that? Reading the reaction right now coming into the Iran deal, also just in real time here as we go. France, Emmanuel Macron, French president. France, Germany, and the UK regret the U.S. decision to leave. That's an interesting reaction there. We also have also Ed Markey, senator from Massachusetts here, leaving the Iran deal frees Iran to immediately restart nuclear activities, encourages its rivals to pursue. So a lot of reaction. It's quick to come in after the president's announcement this afternoon, so we'll keep an eye on that as we go. It should be interesting. Back to the sports world as I jump all around. The Red Sox and Yankees, that should be fun tonight in the Bronx. 3-game set. Pomerantz goes for the Red Sox tonight. We'll see how that goes. Remember, there's some bad blood there after the last series these two teams met at Fenway Park. A little bit of a brawl. So always fun when the Red Sox and Yankees get together. Even more fun on a day like today, coming after the brawl last series. So that'll be interesting. MBTA looking to make some upgrades. I don't know how many of you actually use the MBTA. I'm sure you do in some form. You take it for granted, but especially in Boston, you got people that use it every single day to work, looking to put all that money into the Green Line. It was front page of the Boston Globe today. I was thinking today, what would Boston be like? Can the news departments imagine a Boston without talk of the MBTA and without talk of the issues on the MBTA? It is the nation's oldest system, so it's going to have some problems, but I don't know. Interesting. The Teacher of the Year in Massachusetts came out of East Bridgewater. Congratulations to that teacher. I haven't learned much about her yet, but I did just hear he was out of East Bridgewater. I'm actually not even sure about that. But East Bridgewater playing host to the Teacher of the Year. And what do we have to say? Oh, one other story too that we should. I feel like everybody has kind of turned an eye on here as we go. But Puerto Rico, I was reading today, 25,000 people are still in the dark after the hurricane. 8 months after Irma and Maria, 25,000 people still in the dark. Unbelievable. Can you imagine living 8 months without power? Incredible. So we should keep following up on Puerto Rico to make sure they get back on their feet. A lot of people go there for vacations and all that stuff. So maybe, I know they're pleading for tourism dollars to still come their way, and we'll see if Puerto Rico can get back on its feet shortly. 8 months, unbelievable. But anyways, well, today we got a very busy day, a very busy show. Again, don't forget, follow the show at Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. That's at Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. I'm going to be joined in just a moment by Joanne Morris of Newburyport DocuFest. We're going to talk about some films coming into town here today and learn a little bit about what they do. They got some shows coming in, I believe, middle of May here, just about a week or so. So I'll talk with Joanne Morris in just a moment. I'm going to bring her in. Interesting discussion. A lot of this stuff is really, really local too. So playing it. Well, I won't give away where they're playing. I'll let Joanne tell us that in just a moment. But we'll bring her in and we'll talk about that. And again, At Joppa Afternoons is the Twitter handle. I think we have a giveaway to do, so that will be the first time we've done that. We're going to do it through Twitter. We'll walk you through that as long as you keep listening and as long as you keep following us on Twitter. So keep it here. We'll be right back. We'll get right to Joanne Morris in just a moment. And happy Tuesday afternoon to you. A beautiful Tuesday afternoon in Newburyport. I opened up the windows here in the studio. It is very nice out, so I'm enjoying this. Thanks for joining us. It's Afternoon Drive. My name is Drew Moholland. We'll be right back here on Joppa Radio.
Feel so bad, yeah. I feel so blue. Got to make it right for everyone concerned. Even if it's me, if it means it's me, what's getting burned? Time would come, have to pay for my mistakes. I can't blame you, what you're doing to me, girl, though it makes my heart ache. Your dreams have all come true, just the way you planned it. So I'll just step aside, gonna step aside, lend a helping hand. Oh, I could never make you unhappy. Now I couldn't do that, girl. Only wish I didn't love you so. Makes it so very hard to do. So very hard to do. 'Cause I love you so.
All right, and welcome back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Thank you for joining us on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon in Newburyport. It is starting to feel a little bit like summer, at least spring. At least it's a good spring day. That's good. We were just talking off the air here with my two guests in the house, and I guess it was pretty foggy in Newburyport today, which I did not realize. I was in Boston, but it's nice to have that burn off. And we have a beautiful Tuesday, and we have two excellent guests in the house today. I am joined by Joanne Morris, the Executive Director of the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival, and advisor and moderator, James Sullivan. Hey, guys, thanks for coming on board. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to meet you.
And so tell me a little bit about what exactly you guys do, first of all. Let's start there for people that don't know a thing about the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival. What is that?
Well, we actually have a documentary film festival in Newburyport every September. This year will be our 13th. The dates for this year's festival are September 14 to 16. And basically it's documentaries all weekend, and they play at the Firehouse and the Screening Room. We have anywhere up to about 28 or 38 films, both shorts or feature length, and most of the filmmakers come. So it really adds to the program where you, after the film screens, you can do a Q&A.
Oh, wow.
Hang out with them. We have receptions, parties.
That's very cool. So that's excellent, and a cool chance to meet the person behind what you just saw, which is very nice. So the Firehouse too, very cool venue. Everybody keeps talking about the Firehouse. They host like all these things, I guess. And we had one of the executive directors on not too long ago. Name is escaping me at the moment, but everybody says it's a awesome venue. You got the name in your back pocket? Is that what
John Moynihan.
John, thank you. Yeah.
We were with them before he came over here.
Oh, okay. Did he warn you about the show?
Well, no, he was on his way over here.
And it
to
was
do
3
the show.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, when he left, I got you. Yeah, but it's a great spot, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's fabulous. It holds almost 200 seats. It's very historic. And it has really nice space outside of the theater, so we do a lot of receptions there before we take the attendees inside. So,
James, what is the advisor-moderator role here? That's
Well, I'm a journalist and an author. I've written several nonfiction books, and I live in Amesbury. I write a lot about the cultural world, so I've always loved documentary films because it's basically what I do as a journalist, except that it's in film form. So I've always loved documentaries, and I started volunteering maybe 8 or 10 years ago for the Newburyport Doc Fest, and I guess my role has expanded a little bit over the years to
the title keeps expanding.
Well, I help. There's several of us who help screen the films and decide what we want to show each year and each quarter. Now we're showing quarterly films at this point as well. And I also have become sort of an on-stage moderator. So if we do have a filmmaker or someone involved with the film who comes for the screening, I'll go up on stage with them afterwards and ask a few questions and then moderate the audience Q&A portion of the event.
Awesome. So that must be fun. You get to meet a lot of interesting people, and
we sure do. I mean, that's one of the things about documentaries is that they can be about anything under the sun, from the most serious subjects to the most frivolous, and a lot of beautiful things, a lot of nature films. We have all kinds of stuff, and so there's sort of something for everybody. And when we do have the filmmakers come, they're almost invariably very interesting people who have a lot of cool stuff to say about what they learned by making their film. Yeah,
excellent. And how about this year? What's what should people be looking out for this year? Can you give away any spoilers, or is that against the rules? I don't know.
Well, actually, we don't know because submissions opened in March, but they stay open until July, and at that point, then we make the selection.
Oh, okay.
We're looking at them, and we're meeting to discuss them, but they won't be final because it's not only does this film get in, does it qualify, but how does it play with the other ones.
Right.
Sometimes you might have too many on a particular topic. So it's not final till it's final.
Right. But we're basically here because we're doing quarterly films now, which is relatively new. I mean, the festival's been around for a while, but we really haven't done anything outside of the festival weekend on an annual level. And now, for the first time, basically, we're starting to show films quarterly. Roughly every 3 months, we're showing something, typically at the Firehouse. So we have one coming up.
That doesn't really, I mean, that sounds like a big new task here. And I see you got this, so let me put you guys can hold this up here. You're going to do this camera right here on your left, actually, if you want to show there. All right, talk a little bit about what you got there.
So we're showing this film called Bombshell, the Hedy Lamarr story.
Yep.
And for those folks who are baby boomers, will probably remember her. A big film star back in the 30s and 40s. And it turns out, though, not only was she beautiful and an amazing actress, she was also an inventor at night with no schooling, with no background, but just it came to her naturally. So in her spare time, she worked on some pretty amazing inventions that she hasn't really gotten the notice yet. So this is a documentary on that. What's cool about it was the director wanted to do this story. She had heard about it, but didn't really have the original source footage. And then making some random phone calls, stumbled across this guy from, I think it was Fortune magazine, had interviewed Hedy Lamarr in the 70s or something, and she called and he said, I've been waiting 25 years for this call. So he had all these audio cassettes of his speaking with her for hours and hours. So it really added a nice dimension to the film.
Oh, wow.
And the film's been around a little bit at other festivals and has done really well. Like, I think it actually, I just looked it up, I think it actually has 5 complete stars, 96% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
It's, it's gotten a lot of great attention for the places that it has played, and I think it's screening on PBS soon, but not. We're showing it first. We're showing it before that.
So when you guys pick a project like this, I'm sure that decision is not taken lightly. I mean, you can go in a lot of different directions, and what makes you go in this direction?
It's we just hear from distributors and different films. There's many documentaries out there, but every once in a while one just strikes a nerve, and we're like, this would really be very popular here. And also part of the films that we're doing periodically, it's more of an event. It also has a reception period with a free wine, cheese, and beer section, all part of the ticket price. But the other cool thing is we have the filmmaker afterward, or whenever possible. In this case, the filmmaker Alexandra Dean will be available. We're going to Skype her in, and then we're going to have 2 other panel members who, one, Gerald Perry is a famous author on Hollywood and the movies, and his wife Amy, who is a filmmaker. So.
Cool. And James will be moderating the Skype interview?
And James will always be there.
Always, James. Wow.
Yeah, I hope so.
No pressure.
But this film, I think, Bombshell has sort of a double appeal to it. I mean, it's obviously Hedy Lamarr was a huge cinema star in her day, so film buffs would be attracted to this film. And then there's this sort of really weird, fascinating element to it that she basically what she did was worked on the invention of radio frequencies. So what she discovered in her scientific study, in her sort of alter ego life, has now become GPS and Bluetooth technology.
Wow.
So it's kind of amazing that she was a household name as an actress in her day, and led a fascinating life on that level, and then also did this other thing that people don't really know about.
All those things that so many of us couldn't live without these days.
Exactly. So we all of our films are all documentaries on some level. This is why I love them so much. Tend to be about this sort of oh wow factor, or like that's fascinating, like I didn't know that, or it's a lot of people tend to think of documentaries as it's extra learning, and it's like you're being asked to do some homework or whatever, which is not the case at all. I mean, you're just going to see a film, and it happens to be about real life, and more often than not, real life is incredibly fascinating, and this is a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're joined today by Joanne Morris and James Sullivan. Joanne is the executive director of the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival. James Sullivan, the advisor and moderator, and they got a lot going on right now. I wonder, how do you feel about doing this in Newburyport? Because it does seem like kind of a good community to. There's an artsy element to it. I guess I'll probably stop trying to tell people what Newburyport is, but it's a good fit for this sort of thing, and not to mention just a lot going on, lively downtown, that sort of thing. Must be a cool place to kind of do this sort of projects in your case.
Yeah, I agree. I think the location where we are has a lot to do with our success, and it's important to note that most film festivals don't survive past their first 1 or 2 years.
Is that right, really?
So we're really, really fortunate to...
You were, did you say 13?
We're going on 13.
That's incredible.
I know, so we're like, that's pretty great.
And there's the smile, yes.
Yeah, but it's absolutely the community, because people are just willing to come out. They're curious and open-minded. You see so many people going to the screening room, and I think it's related to that. That story where he did a Kickstarter because he had to change over to digital, and he got double what he needed. I mean, it just showed how well that theater is, and I think it's the quality of the film. I think it's the people who are just really interested in these topics.
The screening room, you can't underestimate what what that's, or overstate rather, what he's brought to this community, because we're very lucky that we have a little place like that shows independent films, and in this day and age of the mega multiplex, all the blockbuster films and nothing else, basically.
Yeah.
So the screening room for decades basically now has cultivated an audience around Newburyport, the Newburyport area, that has an appreciation of this kind of film that we show.
And especially with the documentaries, I always feel like almost every documentary, whether it's about a musician, a movie maker, it could be about anybody. I always feel this need to there's always more I want to know. I feel like I just watched the Eric Clapton documentary the other night, which I thought was excellent. But knowing a lot about Clapton, I was like, they really did skip some years there in the middle. I'm curious why they attacked. But it's
Which
a great.
Years?
Well, yeah, he might not remember either.
He probably wanted to skip those years, right?
Yes, it's probably it might be a musician decision there. But I always feel this need to want to ask more questions afterwards, and this presents that opportunity, which is great. Almost every time, I think you said you almost do a question and answer afterwards. So that's fantastic and really adds to the whole process, I think.
Well, as a festival, we offer lodging at the Essex Street Inn to all the filmmakers to really encourage them to come, because it really adds such an
That's nice.
extra dimension to it. It's so important to our festival. So we and as we market the Newburyport Film Festival, we're really putting Newburyport out there as a destination, a fun place for them to come to, and every single filmmaker comes out is just falls in love with it, and we get them recurring now. We last year we had someone who's been in 3 times already.
Wow.
So it's really helpful. We have a great destination.
That is great. And James, what's the pressure of moderating these things? You don't want to ask the wrong question to the person that just put their blood, sweat, and tears into a documentary, right?
I've been doing newspaper writing and journalism for quite a while now, and
doesn't worry you too much.
There are no dumb questions. Basically, I mean, you can put your foot in your mouth, you can sound like an idiot, but if you ask a question, I've always understood that if you ask a question, that probably means you're probably not alone. There's probably at least one other person out there who was thinking of asking the same thing or wondering the same thing. So, sometimes you run that risk of looking like a dummy, but that's okay. Do
you ever have is there the ever, I'm sure there's, everybody's different, of course, and especially sometimes these people that make these documentaries are I don't want to say odd, but, sometimes, doing in their own little universe, and ever have kind of an awkward moderating session, or has it all been pretty smooth?
Yeah, I can't think of one. I mean,
that's nice of you to say.
Yeah.
But you interviewed a puppet.
I did.
A puppet. Well, we're going to need to know more about this. Go ahead.
There's a story.
Yeah, well, we had a film about Carol Spinney, who's the guy who's been on Sesame Street since virtually the beginning of Sesame Street as Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch. And so he brought Oscar and was on stage with us. He came. Carol Spinney did. He's about 80 years old now, and he came to our screening, which was about 4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years.
And brought Oscar. And I actually had a great, I did have a story about him. I totally different, totally separate from the film festival. I did a Boston Globe story on him probably 10 years ago, and got the opportunity to go down to Brooklyn where they filmed Sesame Street, and he does this a lot. I think when there were reporters on the set, he said they were filming a shot with Oscar behind the cans, and obviously the puppeteer is behind the garbage cans with Oscar, so he said, come back here with me. And so I crouched behind the garbage cans with him, and while you're back there, Oscar's very old and supposed to look ratty, so he actually literally is kind of dirty and grungy.
Yeah.
Carol Spinney just pulled a little pull off of Oscar's cotton and gave it to me and said, "Here you go. Here's a keepsake from your visit to Sesame Street." Put it in a little baggie, put it on our fridge. My kids were little at the time. Somebody took it to school for a show and tell and left it there. So it was a crushing loss in my house.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
And then a few years ago when he came up here, I told that story on stage and said, I didn't ask him anything. I just told him that story and how sad I was when our little piece of Oscar went missing, and he gave me another one.
Very kind. Well, it's a happy ending then, I guess.
And then my funny story was when we were booking him and his wife at the Essex Street Inn, I wanted to make sure everything was perfect, and I call over there and I said,
"You got an interesting guest coming.
We need a king-size bed. We have Big Bird coming." But then he shows up, and he's not much taller than I am, because that's his arm that's up there. That's not his head.
Yeah.
Anyway, You need a big bed.
That's probably a benefit of being short too in that line of work, I guess. There.
But think about it. 8 hours a day, he's got his arm
It's
over his
physically
head.
taxing, that job of actually doing Big Bird, and he still does it.
40 years, yeah.
That's
incredible.
It was great. The other cool thing about it, that was just a great festival that year, but having him out there, he was thrilled because this was the first time they had screened this film and his family could come. He's actually from Waltham, Mass.
Yeah.
Right.
And he had about 30 people. His kids came. But there was also this special guest he reached out to. So in 1959, he was on this show in Boston with this other woman named, Judy Valentine. And he did the puppets, and I think she did puppets. And anyway, he had reached out to her. She lives up in Stoneham or something. And she was able to come. And they hadn't seen each other since 1959.
Oh wow!
And we have a photo of them just hugging and just so happy to see each other, and it was just pretty neat.
Yep.
That is cool. Well, I'm sure you have a lot of those stories, but I like that's good. And that actually leads me to another part. How about kids? Is this or some of these for kids, or maybe not all of them, but are kids encouraged to come, or kind of it all depends on the film?
Kids are always encouraged to come. I mean, I don't think really very many documentary filmmakers make documentaries with kids in mind, but a lot of them tend to be about family-related issues, growing pains, some of the heavier stories are about family struggles or whatever. So, I mean, kids are always encouraged to come, and we do have some audience members who do bring their kids. But, kids have to, I have them. I know, I understand. Kids have to be particularly interested in the subject to sit still through a documentary. But,
Well, the last one, Bugs, we showed a film about eating bugs. So that did get some kids there.
Yeah.
And it was about in the future we're probably going to be eating bugs. And we had a young guy out, he's from Maine, but he was in California. He started a cricket farm. And we had him there. He was our panel member. And we had barbecued ants and crickets. And
wow.
yeah. I meant to bring
that
this up.
actually would have been one that we could have seen. But, more kids than adults probably could handle the subject.
Right.
The idea was there's lots of protein in bugs, and 80% of the world's population eats bugs, and we eat, shrimp and crustaceans and lobster and stuff, which are basically big bugs. But we think it's disgusting to eat bugs. The rest of the world eats them because it's a good source of protein. And the filmmakers were just sort of making the point that we might be headed there, depending on.
It's always bothered me, the price of lobster. It's like the bottom of the barrel of the sea. I've never.
Exactly.
But anyways, I digress. And I thought that I was watching the 60 Minutes last week on the eating seaweed is becoming a thing now, popular, and that kind of freaked me out. So now I'm not going to. Maybe I should see this bugs thing. but all right. Well, we're going to take our first break here. Again, we're joined here by Joanne Morris. She's the executive director of the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival, and James Sullivan, the advisor and moderator. A very busy time for these two. And we got the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival not too far away. So keep it here. We will be right back. We're going to take our first little quick break here, and we'll be back with a little bit more of these two. Don't forget, follow us at Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. That is at Joppa, Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. If you have any questions for these guys too, feel free to shoot them that way. I will make sure to open this up right now and take a look at this. And if you have any questions, shoot them to the Twitter account, and we'll ask them as long as they're appropriate. So keep it here. We'll be right back. More of Afternoon Drive. My name's Drew Moholland. Be right back.
with all my heart I know, with all my heart and soul, I love you. Here in this breath, it's just you and I. Here all the words fall away. Here is where passion and tenderness meet. Everything I've ever done has led you to me. All my heart, with all my heart I know, with all my heart and soul, I love you. All my heart, with all my heart I know, with all my heart and soul, I
Saddle up the storm, sister, ride it into town. Don't worry about that man, mister, don't let him get you down. Ride it into town.
All right, welcome on back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. It is a beautiful Tuesday afternoon here in the city, and the fog has gone away. It is sunny out. We're joined by Joanne Morris, Executive Director of the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival, and James Sullivan, Advisor and Moderator. And you guys have been great. Thank you for coming on. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about. And even better, we're going to do our first giveaway here on the station. Joanne, I think I'll let you take it from here. What are we giving away? We'll start there, and then I'll say how you can get the win. How about that?
We'd like to give away 2 tickets to see Bombshell, which is May 20th, Sunday at the Firehouse. Really good seats, front and center, not the exact front row, but towards the front.
You'll be happy.
And the ability to meet the panel members afterwards, and the moderator, James Sullivan.
Well, how about that? Very
Invaluable.
good. Invaluable. Very good. All right, so let's do this. So we have a pretty good following on our Twitter account right now, at Joppa, Joppa Afternoons. Let's do the first person to say, we want the tickets. That's the cue. We want the tickets to the Joppa Afternoons Twitter handle, and you will get the 2 tickets. 2 tickets, that's what you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, there you go. So nice little Sunday on the town. I like it.
You get your free beer, wine, and cheese platter.
We probably shouldn't overlook that part, huh? That's a
No,
nice little addition. Included with the ticket price? Mm-hmm. Excellent. Very exciting. James, this is a good part of the part of the day.
And I was going to say, if we have any bugs left over from the last screening, we'll, maybe those will be at the reception too.
We did Chirps chips. It's made with cricket flour.
Yeah.
Can you say that one more time for me, please?
These chips are made with cricket flour, and I do have some left over. I'm going to bring them.
Okay. I don't know if I would have tried them if you brought them here today, but
They were pretty good, actually.
We were doing pairings. Did it taste better with the wine or the beer?
Yeah.
But you definitely need something.
well, if you
As
played
Cricket
it,
Farm was explaining, you put the ants on a cube of cheese
The cheese, yeah.
as an hors d'oeuvre.
Okay.
It's like formaldehyde, and it's very tangy, I guess. I didn't try. Did you try
I did.
it?
Of course I did.
Good for
Yes, I did.
Well,
It's research.
It's research. Research with beer and wine. I guess that's probably how you sell that thing, right? Very good. All right, so good. So we got that out there on the Twitter handle. We'll see who takes that. You guys also you want to talk about another screening you have too lined up, and why don't you take it away, Joanne?
Well, we're pretty excited to. I was looking some more into Hedy Lamarr and talking with the Newburyport Library because they're going to start showing some of our films as well during the film festival. And I said, well, wait a minute, why don't we show a Hedy Lamarr film right before Bombshell? So on the Thursday, May 17th, 7 o'clock at night, we're going to have a free screening over at the library of a film called Algiers. And it was the first film she did when she came to the U.S. She did with Charles Boyer, and for those of you who remember him, he sort of had this personality as the continental lover in that phrase, or as they said, lover. And he didn't, actually, I was reading up to this, he wasn't really happy with that. He felt it was being stereotyped and instead of being that great actor that he was. But then to make it worse, after that, one of those cartoonists did Pepe Le Pew based on him, and I think that probably was even less popular with him. But anyway, we're going to show Algiers. He's in it. And there's also that line, you might have heard, take me to the Casbah or something, is supposedly in this film, but it isn't. For some reason, it's some line that doesn't really exist. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, to see what was the line they did say that made them think.
James, you want to hold up the flyer for the camera again?
Oh,
We can.
yes.
It's actually a nice flyer, so that's good. Go a little higher there. Just go, there you go.
Does that work?
Yep, that works. There you go. So you can. Excellent. Well done. All right. Well, that should be.
So free.
And the date again, one more time.
Thursday, May 17th, 7 p.m. The library in the program room in the back. Absolutely no cost.
Excellent.
I'd love to see a lot of people there.
So in order to sort of support and spread the word about the film festival each year, we've been doing a couple of free events like this one, and we're going to hope to do more of them. But we do, for instance, we do a work in progress screening each year, which is usually a local filmmaker who's working on a feature-length film or a film of some sort, but isn't done yet, and they'll come and show sort of 10 minutes of clips from what they have and then talk about what the process and maybe get some input from audience members. So this is just sort of in line with that, a free offering to fans of the Newburyport Film Festival.
So you guys, you do bounce around to a couple different spots. I wonder, where else do you go? You get the firehouse, the library, screening room. Those are the main spots.
Those are the yep. So
we have talked a little bit about.
You could take the show on the road.
Well, we've debated a little bit about whether we want to look at a third venue, but we're pretty comfortable right now with the two that we have.
People already complain when you show two films at the same time, they can't see both, and that gets frustrating for them. So I think we'll stick with the two.
That's true for most film festivals. If there are multiple venues, I mean, you have two things going on at once through the course of the weekend, and we definitely do. With Screening Room and the Firehouse are both pretty well booked up that weekend.
Yeah. What it struck me when you said that the most film festivals are 1 and 2 years and done. You guys are 13. How did you get that? How did you get there? I wonder, what do you credit that to?
Well, I mean, start with Michelle, right? I mean, so a lot of people listening to this would probably know of Michelle Fino, who was our founder, and she sort of started this festival on her own. She's just got a lot of energy and a lot of great spirit and a lot of a great feel for documentary films and what makes a good one and what makes one worth seeing. So we both started volunteering like a lot of other people because of Michelle. We liked what she was doing and wanted to help out and wanted to help her expand it or help her not have to do the whole thing on her own, which I think she sort of almost did the first couple of years, right?
Yeah, I wasn't here either, so somehow she pulled it off. So that's for starters. She did a great job of establishing the foundation. And then all the volunteers now. So, I mean, it's obviously.
How many volunteers do you have?
We've had active probably 20 to 30. So we have two types. The ones that work maybe year round, help us out. There aren't that many, but we'd love more. And then we have quite a few on the weekend of the festival who are basically ushers, or putting up postcards and flyers and whatnot. But it's an exciting thing to do if people are interested.
Right.
We're every year we do a call for volunteers too. So we'll probably do that early in June. See if we can get some new people in, young people too.
Good. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good team to have, though. 25, 30, and Must be. But what are you looking to double that maybe, or
Could use more.
double it, triple it?
Those are the people who are the familiar faces who show up all the time. But we've got volunteers who come just occasionally or do are in and out. Some years can do it and some years can't or whatever. But
Yeah.
we've got a nice foundation of people who are interested in the festival enough to want to help out, which is pretty great.
Again, joined by Joanne Morris and James Sullivan with the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival. I wonder what initially, besides your intrigue with working with Michelle, what kind of hooked you into this particular team, and what got you into it? Maybe a pitch to a potential volunteer, as far as like the rewards of it, I guess is where I'm going here. I'll ask both of you guys that one.
You know what I always think is that, as I mentioned earlier, because I'm a journalist, I'm sort of constantly curious about everything.
Yep.
And that's an itch that documentary film scratches. I mean, you can, not every film is for everyone, of course, but you can certainly, I mean, if you look at the schedule from year to year that we put out, there is something for everyone. You can find something on there that sounds intriguing to you, that sounds like a subject you might like, whether it's about bears or whether it's about music or whether it's about, a former film star or whatever. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Incarceration issues, political issues, social issues, all kinds of stuff. So I think that I would say that of all the various people that help out with this film festival or show up to as audience members to this film festival, the one constant theme is that they all have a heightened sense of security there, of curiosity is what I meant to say. I don't know about security. That's
in the airport.
Exactly. Of curiosity. I mean, we all are have open minds and open eyes and open ears and like to learn more about the world around us. Another thing about documentary film is that it can take you places that you might not otherwise be able to go. A lot of it is about traveling the globe, going to far off lands, or neighborhoods across the country, or whatever, under the sea, up in the sky. I mean, everywhere. It's like travel. Armchair travel, basically.
Yeah, and along those lines, maybe you would go see one that you didn't know you were going to be into, and you learn something, and you're suddenly hooked on an idea. So that's cool. How about you, Joanne? Is that the pretty similar answer? Or?
Similar. I actually was a film major way back when, and
so that's where it started.
I didn't specifically get into film. Well, it started before my first job. I sold popcorn at a movie theater. Seriously.
It started there.
I did, and I'm a volunteer at the screening room now.
She's still selling popcorn.
I'm still selling popcorn.
But I didn't exactly go into filmmaking. I went more into event production, but over the years I wanted to keep in with film, and when I came to Newburyport and find out there's a film festival, I was like, I can't believe this is happening. And for me, it's like I'm not that filmmaker who's going to labor 6 or 7 years to put out this fabulous film, but what works better for me is I'm going to find those 28 or 30 fantastic films and get them out to hundreds. And
plan the event around it, which is your other background.
And do my event planning.
Right.
So it's a really good fit.
That is great. Do you find that my wife and I were just talking about this the other night, how we couldn't remember the actual last time we went to a movie theater, just because it's all there at your fingertips, and we'd rather hang in with the dog and then go to a movie theater. But I do see, I almost feel like you guys are offering, and I guess this goes back to maybe the chances to expand with the questions and all that, but it does seem to offer a little bit more of a live experience going to what you guys are doing here with these screenings. Think I'm accurate on that one? Or?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a big part of what we try to do. Is we do have the receptions beforehand. We do have the Q&A sessions afterwards. So
more a part of it than a viewer, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, but then also just seeing some of these films on the big screen, just like seeing a Pixar film or a Black Panther or whatever in a movie theater, the experience is enhanced just by being in a crowd of other people and getting those reactions, getting the laughter or the catching your breath if it's scary or suspenseful or whatever it is. I mean, yes, it's totally comfortable and amazing to be able to pull up whatever you want on Netflix or watch whatever you want on TV at home in the comfort of your own home. But then there's definitely something to be said for the experience of seeing a film live with other people in the seats, and then we do offer sort of a whole night out or afternoon out or whatever. It's more of an event than just the film.
Yeah, and Joanne, you started working at a movie theater. Do you still go to the movies? I wonder how often do you actually get there?
I live very close to the screening room. I'm there all the time.
You do? Okay.
I'm a film lover, and I go by myself. I don't necessarily need to have people with me. If I do, or but I agree. I think it's that audience experience, a social part
Yep.
of it, that sets us apart. Because obviously a lot of these films, yeah, you can find them and see them and stay at home, but this gets you out of your house and interacting with other people. And the other cool thing with our festival is we have an audience award. So we have 4 awards. We have Best Feature, Best Short, Best New England Film, but we also have an audience award. So every person who goes into a screening, they get a paper ticket, and then afterwards they rate them from 1 to 5. And that is one of the amazing awards that we give out.
That is cool. A lot of pressure to rate these things.
Yeah. And it's hard, it's this piece of paper, and it says 1 to 5, and has these lines on it, and we say tear through the line, and you know what? They don't. They poke it, they write on it, it's pretty fun.
It must be, but you guys probably get to see like the behind the scenes stuff too of, maybe you have somebody in who's made one of these films, and you can just, maybe they even stay for the screenings. I don't know. Maybe it's more than just the after thing, but you can probably feel that they're completely into it as well. Maybe they've seen it 100th time, and you can just see how much it means to them. You've probably seen some of those moments with these people that are behind these films as well.
Oh, the filmmakers are absolutely love to sit in the audiences with. Every once in a while, you get a filmmaker who says, "Oh, I've been to 10 festivals with this. I'll go get dinner and I'll come back for the Q&A afterwards." But most of the time, they want to sit in the audience and see how people respond. They want that reaction. They want to see, whether people are laughing at the places that they think are the funny parts of the film, or or being terrified when they expected something to be scary. So, I think that yes, we offer the reception and the after, the Q&A thing, but really it's about conversation. It's about like sort of building community around the films. So a lot of the films end up being about social issues, about protests of one kind or another.
It's not the end. Usually, it's a part of a real life
conversation. That's what a lot of the filmmakers are trying to accomplish, is to raise questions and ask how this subject fits into our daily lives, and and they think they're starting a conversation rather than answering it, and I think that that's a big part of what we try to do, is bring in films, whether they're light or heavy or somewhere in between, that people are going to want to talk about afterwards.
And some of these issues you must have, I can see some of these things getting heated, especially you talk about a political piece, and you have obviously.
Well, that's something that comes up when we talk about with our colleagues about what we're going to screen. We're sensitive to that, and on the one hand, you want to show films that are going to be of interest to people, whether or not they're polarizing. Yep. And on the other hand, you got to be careful. You got to some documentary filmmakers. It's an old question, but some filmmakers, it's not straight journalism. It's not supposed to be necessarily objective. You can be as subjective as you want to be as a filmmaker, and you can definitely say, I want to make a film about a social issue, and I want to come down on this side or that side of it. Yep. And that's their prerogative. But then they're they're opening themselves up to someone who's going to say, but you didn't show the other side, or you didn't give the other side enough of a voice. And that's something that we talk about all the time if it's a heavier subject film. Yeah.
There's the journalism side creeping in, right?
Sure. But, exactly.
You were going to say something, Joanne, sorry.
Well, you're making me think. Also, the films, a lot of them have a life afterwards, and we like to track them. And so we had one last year, True Conviction, and it was about wrongful conviction. And the protagonist of the film flew in for us. And he spent 16 years in prison for a murder he didn't commit, and he was exonerated by DNA. And he and 2 other colleagues started a detective agency, right, basically to help others, and so
others who are imprisoned who have been wrongly convicted. He's trying to help get them out as well. That's his life now.
Wow.
So he came out, and he's such a character, and we loved him. He was fabulous, and we took him for his first lobster ever. We went to Starbuck County.
He's from Texas.
Lobster again.
Never had, yeah, there's a lobster. But the night of the screening, that Saturday night, he was in the theater watching film, and his phone went off. Oh, it wasn't loud. He had a mute. But anyway, he exited the theater, and he got a phone call and learned that one of the TV, I think it's NBC, decided to make a TV show based on him and his work. And it should be out soon, sometime in the spring, but that's pretty amazing.
And we have examples of that over the years of the festival, that where films have gone on to win Academy Awards, or for documentary, obviously, or have gotten recognition from the biggest film festivals in the country. We definitely do sort of continue to track them, and it's always nice to know that when we pick one that we want to screen, that our choice is validated by them winning a big award, or getting that kind, or like in the case of True Conviction, getting turned into a TV series.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty cool.
Yeah, that must be pretty cool to see that. Not a reward probably, or not a payoff, but it says you were thinking along the right lines, maybe, or that was a good decision. I guess
Pat ourselves on the back once.
There you go, pat on the back. Well, guys, I always say this is the fastest hour in radio here. It flies by, especially when you're talking about interesting stuff, and that has done it. So thank you very much for coming in. Again, this is Joanne Morris, Executive Director, Newburyport Documentary Film Festival, James Sullivan, Advisor and Moderator. Final 60 seconds, guys. Why don't I let you kind of give one final pitch to anybody who wants to come out and see, be a part of the Newburyport Film Festival, maybe volunteer, maybe see some of these other screenings. Why don't you give the full pitch here in the final 60 seconds?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love more help. Visit our website. Send us an email if you can volunteer, if you can donate. We take cash, we'll take payments, but come to our events, because if people don't come, we're not going to be able to continue to do them. So people have to realize that we need that community support. So look at our website, keep updated with what we have going on.
You want to say the website too? You can do that if you like.
www.newburyportfilmfestival.org.
Okay.
And the festival is what, the 14th through the 16th this year in September? And the film Bombshell is May 20th.
All right.
Sunday, May 20th.
Not too far away. So there you go. And Bombshell, we will keep an eye on the Twitter account here. I'm going to actually post it right now. Sometimes the reception's slow in here. If you've responded, I'm sorry. We'll get to you. And then I'll message you to the winner, and we'll take care of the tickets thing in the on the back end. So we'll do it that way. I'll check this here when we're done. So big thanks again, Joanne Morris, James Sullivan. You guys have been great. It's been very nice meeting you. Thank you so much for coming in. And good luck with the coming screenings and the whole festival. It should be a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
It was a blast. All right, guys, and we'll be right back here, same time, same place, Thursday afternoon. Another great guest. A couple possibilities. I'm not exactly sure who we're going to have on Thursday yet, so a couple different balls in the air on that, so I won't commit to anything there, but we'll be back here same time, same place, Thursday, 3 o'clock. Don't forget to follow the show at Joppa Afternoons on Twitter, at Joppa Afternoons. Big thanks to David Kramer, TV producer. He gets us all on the web, and this show will also be on the web here a little later in its entirety. For those of you who missed it, you can always watch our shows on the YouTube, the power of YouTube, on the Port Media YouTube channel. They all get posted there. Great job by David Kramer on the television, so thank you to David, and we will see you back here Thursday. My name is Drew Moholland. This has been Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. Have a good day.
Hi, this is David Yang, Artistic Director of the Newburyport Chamber Music Festival, and you're listening to WJOP-LP Newburyport, Joppa Radio 96.3 FM.
Joppa Radio 96.3 FM would like you to know students from the River Valley Charter School in Newburyport are going to be holding an event called Save Our River, Save Our Home, dealing with their efforts for cleaning up the Merrimack River as a school project. It's going to be taking place on Sunday, May 20th from 9 to 1 at the Newburyport Farmers Market in Newburyport. For additional information, contact the River Valley Charter School in Newburyport.
Oh, yeah. There's that doorway in my mind again. East Village rising with the sun. You and me, who were we way back then? You so sad and me so young. And I don't know, but I can guess. There are 20 million reasons to say yes. And I hope hard, and I hope long. There are 20 million reasons to hold on. Hold on. And there's that mountain in my mind again. Sacred blood spilling out across the sky. And we'd never seen land so red. Never known a time so wide. And you kissed me hard and kissed me long. And for the first time, baby, I belong to something bigger, better, stronger, greater. There's that panic in my mind again. Boston falling like a shroud. And I shake and you cry and we stand. And all our friends and family gather round. And we drink the wine and break the glass. And tomorrow grabs a shattered past. And it is bigger, better, stronger, greater. There are times that I live inside my head. And there are times that I fear my heart is dead. And you've always been the artist more than I. A fragile soul in a hurricane's eye. And I'm sorry, baby, the world is hard, yeah, but I will try to love you harder. Bigger, better, stronger, greater. There you go, running round my mind again. I am dizzy, I am broken, I am spent. You are hands, you are love, and you are blessed. I am I, you are you, and we are yes. And I don't know, but I can guess. There are 20 million reasons to say yes. And I hope hard, and I hope long. There are 20 million reasons to hold on. Hold on.
I have a feeling, it's a feeling I'm concealing. I don't know why. It's just a mental, sentimental alibi. But I adore you, so strong for you. Why go on stalling? I am falling, our love is calling. Why be shy? Let's fall in love. Why shouldn't we fall in love? Our hearts are made of it. Let's take a chance. Why be afraid of it? Let's close our eyes and make our own paradise. Little we know of it, still we can try to make a go of it. We might have each other. To be or not to be, let our hearts discover. Let's fall in love. Why shouldn't we fall in love? Now is the time for it while we're young. Let's fall in love. Let's fall in love. Why shouldn't we fall in love? Our hearts are made of it. Let's take a chance. Why be afraid of it? Let's close our eyes and make our own paradise. A little we know of it, still we can try to make a go of it. We might have an end for each other. To be or not to be, let our hearts discover. Let's fall in love. Why shouldn't we fall in love? Now is the time for it while we're young. Now is the time for it while we're young. Now is the time for it while we're young.